right, y'all. What's good? You rocking with your boy Real Life, and you're listening to another episode of Validated Radio. And as always, I got my co-host with me, Innocent, and don't forget the question mark. And you already know it's one time for hip hop culture. And today's guest is producer Cover. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, guys, man. For the culture, for sure.
No, definitely. So to get into it, um, what's your earliest memory of hip hop culture?
Well, for me, I started out like in '95 as an artist. You know, I was first had a deal at Tommy Boy Records, and I was running around already with like my man Shampoo. I don't know if y'all know Sham.
Yeah.
He makes a
Yeah.
lot of money with Conan, Brooklyn. Well, we used to do a lot of stuff, and he was always there. He was doing his thing on Select Records. We was at Tommy Boys. We all did the whole. We was talking that about today, like doing all the runs and going guerrilla out there and putting all the posters and all that in '95. So I got with my man Ski Beats. He does all the Jay-Z stuff. He did the Camp Low stuff. And at that time, he seen me battling a couple of cats up on 110th Street in Lexington when we was outside. And he just approached me and was like, if I ever been to the studio. And I told him nah, because I was always just like freestyling with DJs, like shout outs Triple C and all them old doo-wop and all those that time, you know what I mean?
Yo.
And he took me into the studio, and to tell you the truth, like about maybe not even about 3 months later, they approached me with a deal with Tommy Boy. They took my first single that I did independently, and we put it on Tommy Boy, and then ran it for a little while until then Def Jam picked it up as an independent record. You know what I mean? They did a tribute to independent music, and they picked that record. And then we piggyback and did a lot of the independent stuff on our own too. And then I just wanted to end up doing more hip hop, and I wonder like how I could stay doing hip hop and still contribute to the game. And I just kind of followed the blueprint of my mentor, like Ski Beats. Like Ski came up as original flavor, and then he found artists and started producing, and it kind of gave him longevity to the music game, And I just felt like I could do the same thing because I wanted still to contribute, but I know like how the game is and the youth game is, and I just felt like this is my contribute to the game is to keep producing. So I just kept producing and got to this point.
No, and that's
Did you?
dope. But you mentioned a couple of things I want to dig into. So, number one, you mentioned gorilla. I know what you mean, but for the kids, what do you mean by that term when you mention gorilla and promo?
Well, it's like when you go and you put a whole bunch of people in a van and y'all go attack the whole city, snipes everywhere, stickers, running
Street
up on
team.
days, all the stuff, man. You know what I mean? That you got to do. And actually, you still have to do it because a lot, it's a lot easier now with internet and just pressing the button. But you still got to go in some guerrilla stage that you got to run down these clubs and run down the people and let your face be known, not just from the Instagram face. You know what I mean?
No, that's
People
true. And I
wanna,
think a lot of these new age producers lose out because they don't understand the importance of the face to face and the hand to hand.
oh yeah. I come from that era though. I like I said, I had my first deal in '95, so I definitely know the times. And then me being a Puerto Rican rapper at that time when we didn't even have the puns yet, and we only had probably Joe and Curious George and certain rappers that were out at the time. You know what I mean? So it was a
No,
little more
definitely.
difficult. So you had to go guerrilla. You had to go ape on the streets, man. So they
Nah,
can.
true.
Plus, I come from a graffiti background. That my whole COD crew, they were all graffiti. We used to bomb the trains when we were younger, and that was our guerrilla tactics into the game. Plus, like we used to do a lot of art directing for Ralph McDaniels and Classic Concept. So we used to know like where the places would be, and we go and bomb it just to put our names up there. So all the other writers would go and know, yo, I seen your name on the Boyz II Men video. We seen your name on the Wu-Tang video. We seen your name on the Gangstar video. Shit like that, you know what I mean? And that was like our first taste of trying to go putting our name out there so people know. And we kind of take the same tactics and did it to our music when it was time to go ape on the streets, It was easy for us to go everywhere and just put a sticker up or a poster.
Nah, that's dope. And then you also mentioned working with Tommy Boy Records. For the people who don't know, what do you feel the importance of Tommy Boy played in, you know, like early hip hop?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, man. There was only two labels that I used to look at when I was a kid, like coming up, like, you know, when you look buy a record and then you look at the credits and all that. And it was always like Def Jam. Like you always would look at a Def Jam record and be like, yo, this is a label to be at. Or you would see the three men, up one upside down and two upside down, and
Exactly.
people think Tommy Boy. You know what I'm saying? Because they had so many great stars. They had Queen Latifah, they had Capone Noriega, Naughty by Nature, you know, and then not only that, I gotta shout out my man Chris Atlas, who ended up being the A&R at Def Jam and did a lot of the Kanye stuff. He was the first A&R that signed me up. He was a close friend, signed me to Tommy Boy, and you know, it was that vibe right there.
Did you get signed as a producer or an artist?
An artist. I was an artist first. My producer was Ski Beats at the time, so I was going in by because at that time, you know, if you had a great cosign, I mean, like if you were a producer that already had hits and I did a song with you, they would give me the opportunity at least to give me the chance to listen to me. It ain't the same now, but back in the days, it was really who's next. You know what I mean? Who you have in your camp, and a lot of camp people was getting there. So I was lucky to just be there at the right time to meet Ski Beats and work with them, and people caught on to it, and I got my deal through them. And it happened pretty fast. We didn't even really shop it too much. We just did songs and people caught interest of it because we already had Funkmaster Flex playing it. We had Video Music playing the video at the time. And it was a nice feel, you know, but that was then. And that's the things that kind of fueled me to do the things that I do now. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. You mentioned Ski Beats. I'm familiar with him through Neff Beats. I don't know if you know Beats.
That's
you know,
my
Neff.
brother, man.
And we did an album called The Bartender not too long ago.
I know
but
what you're talking
how
about.
do you think that it's important to have relationships with other producers? Because some artists, we expect artists to be cool with each other and some are not. But producers as well. There's producers that don't talk to other producers. How do you feel that? Do you feel that's important in the game right now?
I think networking with everybody should be networking. It shouldn't be so like this is not too much of a secret. You know what I mean? I think when people share the wealth and share their knowledge is important. But like I was talking to my man D Chambers, right? And we was talking about, I was telling him like, yo, you might wind up being a dope producer. And like, you know, if you start making beats and people gonna start fucking with you because you're not a threat no more. You know what I'm saying? You're not like, it's like you're gonna be working with all the artists that you wanted to rap with, but you're gonna end up giving them beats because that's how I felt. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, now I'm not a threat
That's how
to
cats do.
ask for a feature or ask to do this or that. As a producer, they hear a dope beat, they gonna fuck with you. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. That's true.
Salute
So
D
how did you
Chambers, by the way.
transition over from, you know, an artist to a producer?
Well, I always had a studio since 1995. Like anybody that knew me from that time, I always had like a D&D looking studios back in the days in my crib. I'm talking about full analog gear, I got people here to let you know. We used to have a little D&Ds in my, it was the whole apartment was a studio. You understand what I mean? Like I had that since like 95. And then I always bring producers in and always like had shout outs to my man D Miracles, my man Ski Beats, he will always come in, Michelob, a few producers like, you know, and we used to bring my little man Idea Beats, who got a lot of songs out now, and he came from my camp coming in from that time, being a younger cat. And to tell you the truth, I just stopped rapping and said, let me start putting people on these beats, because I was always making beats secretly, but I used to rap on them so I could show people that you could rap on these beats. You know what I'm saying? So like in the beginning, people didn't have the trust in it because, you know, you're starting to figure it out and people go, oh yeah, keep doing your thing. So at the end of the day, I rap to them. People start saying, yo, why didn't I get that beat? And it was the same beat that I probably showed them like 2 weeks ago, but now they can understand it. And then just being more about my craft, it just started being the transition, just doing it more every day, like always updating my equipment to be up to date with what's going on in the game. You know what I mean? I was always into that. You know what I mean? Like always making sure, even though I always bring back like a boom bap sound and I could I store all my equipment that I had from before. If I ever want to go back to a certain sound, I know how I could get right back to it because I already know what the equipment does, you know. So the transition was more around that time, probably when I got around Conan and Prince, and they started rhyming over my beats. My Coke Boy niggas, you know. Shout outs to Cheese Dior, Juice, Brock, rest in peace, Chinks, all of them, you know what I mean? Boo City. We used to work a lot with them and shit. And then it just kept blossoming. And then, you know, after a while, I started working with my team. I had a little team that I was going with, and I got with my man Charlie. Charlie's my partner who seen the potential and was like, yo, I think we could take this out of your apartment and we can make people come to your studio, because we have a studio called Umbrella Studios. If anybody looks up, they, you know, we have a lot of clientele coming through here, a lot of big names that come through here and get a lot of songs that are on the radio come out of this place right now. You know what I'm saying? So we was blessed to get the transformation into that. It all started with doing some beats though, and getting my team to rap on my beats. And then everybody started getting like the Mainos and the Jim Joneses and the Dice Pesos. You know, I gotta shout out my man Dice Peso, because like Dice Peso and me did like, I always did project songs, but like me and him took like a whole project, the Blanco Pack Deluxe. And that kind of opened the doors to the wave that I really wanted to start presenting out there. You know what I mean?
No, that's dope. So I heard you name some of the people you work with, but who are some of the more, like, I know you said I saw like Fat Joe, and who are some other cats that you work with?
Well,
Bigger names.
we just did the Dice Space so Fat Joe joint. I work with my man D Chambers. Um, we work with my man. We did Maino joints, Lobby Boy joints.
Dope.
We did Jacquay. We did Jay Critch. Um, who else? Benny the Butcher. We got the Benny the Butcher joint. Um, Ron Suno.
Did you work with Hattie Rack?
Hattie, we got the brand new single with me and with him and Jim Jones that I produced. And you know what I mean? We got a lot of songs with me and Hattie. Man, the list goes on. I will be here all day going. Sometimes I sit here and think of how many songs I've done. I remember maybe the last year, I did about 300 recorded records. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a countless of all kind of people, from Mariah Lynn to Marty Baller to Graf to Hocus for Fifth to you know, all those kind of names that are on P, all those names that I is all a bunch of, yeah, all kind of different things too, from new shit to drill, the 11224 boys. We got a whole bunch, like a whole new genre of vibes, like, you know, it's like hip drill, it's like hip hop with a drill feel that you can rap to. Shit is just, we just trying to invent new things and come up with new vibes for this new year. I got my man Is Hoffa. We got a record out right now that's playing on Hot 97 with Prince Julius that they playing. Shout outs to Drewski. Shout outs to Will at Power. You know, just a lot of records on the radio right now, and feeling blessed.
If you had to walk into a school full of 15-year-olds or 16-year-olds and they didn't know who you were, what song of yours that would you let them hear that they could probably, you know, feel some kind of commonality with from their parents, or something they might not know you produced?
Well, I did a song called Blue Cheese with Jay Critch that we got about 1.5 million streams on SoundCloud for it. And when people meet me, they probably don't know me personally or something like that, but I've had artists that came here, and once they heard the tag and they heard they mentioned that record, because that's their vibe, and they ain't more in that age, you know, in that age bracket to remember a thing like that. And shout outs to Ivo Hooley, you know what I mean? But I would think that, but a lot of people now will know me more to doing those Dice Peso records and my man D Chambers, because we got a lot of records on the radio right now that people are circulating to, and we have Double Up. My man Prince, he's right here sitting next to me. He got a lot of records out with us, and that's on the radio right now. With Is Hoffa, is called Mula, that they're actually playing right now on both stations. So it's like, and to me, that's more gratitude than to play a Benny the Butcher record that you know has already got a machine behind it. You know, these are homegrown cats that work straight from this studio and put out records and they hit the radio. So, you know, to me, that's the key and the championship ring, when you have one of your own in there getting their shit played, and you know that they came from where it started from. You know what I mean?
Facts.
No, that's dope. So to take it back for a minute, because you mentioned about being into graffiti, how
Yes,
did you
sir.
actually get into that initially?
Well, I think since I was born, I always had like an artistic vibe, like we just wanted to be an artist, some vibe. So at the time where I come from the Bronx. I'm from the North Bronx. I'm from like Allenton Avenue, and a lot of that was it was just getting bad at the time. So I guess the baddest things that people really did was graffiti. You know what I'm saying? Like before I started traveling out of my circuit, you know, once I started passing and going to the South Bronx and going to Manhattan, going to Brooklyn, going to Queens, and you start meeting other outlaw kids that are doing the same things. Now hip hop is introduced to you, and then the streets are introduced to you because the way, you know, like that's gonna come to like, it's 360 because I have a project called All City, and that's a graffiti terminology. It's a graffiti terminology where it's like you got to make it around the whole city. Like you got to get your name known around this whole city. And sometimes you're going into blocks that you can't walk through. You could get shot at. You could get stabbed. You're going to get chased by a group of kids bombing on their block. Like, what are you bombing on my block for? You know what I'm saying? And we did it. And I'm trying to transform that whole style into music, because New York got a bad stigma about like Brooklyn cats don't want to go to Bronx. This Queens niggas don't mess with niggas from Harlem. You know, things just like funny stigma. And I see it because sometimes you go and there's an artist who go, yo, I'm in the studio in the Bronx. They be like, what you doing over there? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they be like, yo, well, why don't you go in the city? Meet me in the city. Let's book one in the city. So I know the stigma. So like the whole idea is just to change it and have cats that are from Coney Island all the way with cats from the Bronx, kids from Staten Island all the way with niggas in Brooklyn or in Harlem. You know what I mean? Just dividing that bridge and that gap.
Yeah, and I definitely dig that. Because I feel like cats outside of New York, me for example, like I know the difference, but at the same time, I got people who never been to New York or don't understand how New York flow, you know, work or whatever. But to me, it's like everybody outside of New York sees New York as one, but it doesn't always seem like New York sees New York as one, right? So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, because you think about it, right? Like, I think the narrative is starting to change because, of course, now it's not like we could change the narratives to what we want it to be. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So at one time, it's like once the South got hot, a lot of flow went towards that. So we almost lost our actual, like, how can I say it? Like
The
our look.
sound.
We lost our sound. We the way New York could live with it. So now, since the pandemic, everybody wasn't at clubs. Everybody wasn't doing all that. So people started making, I went to Sam Ash and studios were empty. You couldn't buy nothing. There was no more speakers, no more mics, because they sold out because the pandemic made people buy equipment and stay home. So now a lot of music is not the same clubby music that you were hearing before. So now the rap, even you hear like your little babies, them niggas is rapping. Yeah, they might have an accent, but they rapping a lot more than all that other shit that they used to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just came back. So now you starting to see it. So now, like when I'm doing a joint with Dice or with Jim, that's a little hip hopish and it's getting the recognition, is because the door is open again for that. And your Griseldas and all those other type of acts that, Graph, them niggas rap, man. You know what I mean? And they art was lost in this other wave that was coming out. You know what I'm saying? We were losing the focus on some real lyricists, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm glad that, we got something good out of the pandemic and got some of these cats rapping again and doing these kind of songs that hit the soul, because we were losing some of the soul of what we were doing. I like some of my songs to have pain. I like to hear a difference, you know what I mean? I don't want to clap my hands all the time, even though I do like it, but it got to change somewhere, you know what I mean? And I like that to have a variety, because when I came up, there was nothing but a variety. Yeah, you had your kind that would copy, but those people would get pointed and frowned upon. They would go, yo, that nigga sound like this nigga. Yo, this
Exactly.
nigga sound like this nigga. You know what I mean? And
Everybody wanted to sound different and wanted to stand out.
nah, some people were, and back in the days, I felt like labels would try to find the anti, like say you was Puff. They wanted to find the anti-Puff, so they made DMX. You know, they always trying to find something that was going to be as big, but it had to be different. You know what I mean? And
I gotta ask you, what do you think about these producers that's selling 100 beats, leasing 100 beats for $4.99?
Now I don't live. You see, I come from a time too, right, that it was taboo to know producers, right? Like if you really wanted to get a song done, you couldn't go on YouTube. You had to know a Ski Beats. You had to know Premiere. You had to know a hot nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't just go and download a beat or steal it from a thing and wipe it up and you got a song. You know what I mean? So it was more like a taboo to know niggas. And think about it, yo. Back in the days when I first sold my first beat in the 90s, I charged 5,000 a beat when I didn't even know nobody. You understand? Now it's hard to get 250 from a nigga to because of the game. But I don't worry about that. I just keep doing what I do. And just like you charge what you charge and don't give up on what you charge and know your worth. And people understand that because you're gonna know what's a $49 beat and what you're getting when you're paying for something that you really want. And the outcome, because it's just not the beat, it's what you get from the dude who's making the beat. And the name alone will help whatever you're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So all of that is part of the treatment. So if for any producers, what I try to tell you is don't fall for what they do. You know what I'm saying? These guys need to do that because they don't have their network. Get your networking on and you're gonna get what you deserve, man. Because at the end of this day, when you're dealing with these labels, the real majors, they're gonna pay you what you want when they want the record. So at the end of the day, in the hood, you could scramble, you hustle your way around, and you do your, you got your niggas that you're gonna look out for. You got these other niggas that know you got some paper, but when it comes back to the majors, they're gonna pay for what they want the record. If the record is wanted, they're gonna pay what you got. So just stick to your guns, man, and you're gonna make it happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
People don't know prices of like Gucci, and then you can't go to Gucci store and be like, yo, I need that Gucci for 400.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They got to stick to their guns. And it's like, if you don't want it, you don't have to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else is going to buy it. There's always a fan for what you do. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, just keep working to what you do and people are going to appreciate what you do. And if they do, they're going to fuck with you.
No, true that. So with your amount of experience and your level of expertise, I should say, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to be patient. You know what I'm saying? I think I ran through my first deals like they was always gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Me being a young cat from the street that kind of like hustled his way up to do whatever he does, what came up from nowhere. My father did 25 years, and you know what I'm saying? So it's like not having much and all that little money like that, you feel like, ain't nothing. But I think if I would have took my time and took the patience to know what I know now, I think I would have been better off then. But at the same time, I don't regret nothing that I go through because I'm happy at the situation I'm in now because I'm a producer now. And I feel like I went through the things that I went through because my calling was to be a producer. Maybe I wasn't supposed to be the artist that I wanted to be. And my calling was this because, like I said, yeah, I had a little good run. I got some checks from music, from being an artist, but it's really never been the same as being a producer, you know what I mean? And like I said, I'm really not a threat to anybody to make a song with. So I think me just being like that, and it makes me able to work with everybody that I'm a fan of, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I take out of my younger self, to tell my younger self as an older person, just be patient and see it all out. And you know what I mean?
No, that's dope.
Enjoy the ride.
other than the new artists that you're working with, is there any artists out there up and coming that you like to work with? Did you notice their talent?
I mean, it's bugged out because I've foreseen a lot of the things that I've done because I always wanted to work with like Jim. And even though I've seen Jim and like Benny the Butcher and shit like that was always like shout outs to Stove God, the God, you know what I mean? Cooks, rappers like that that I've had the chance to work with, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs to Most Def and things like that. I always like foreseen it and like I said, this music took me a long way and it took me to meet a lot of people. I mean, it's always like, yeah, you want to rhyme with your Jay-Z on a record, but like I had my man Ski Beats and I was there for all of that reasonable doubt time. I was in the studio in Unique's watching them do that magic. So I felt like I was part of that process somehow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being in the building.
No, definitely
But
did.
yeah, there's so many like Little Baby, Future, like those are dope niggas. But then if you want to get into like rapping cats like J. Cole's and cats like that, I'm happy that I worked with Benny, the Conways, cats that rap. And I just like the new style too, because I don't shit on what's going on now too, because we all gotta evolve. And I'm down with the evolution. I was part of the evolution on the come up when the old school niggas saying, yo, these niggas will never make it. They would drink wearing cowboys. They thought this will never work.
Nah, definitely dig that. So as far as what you have going on now, I know you told us some of it. But what else do you have going on musically?
Well, right now I'm dropping we're working on Blanco Pack Deluxe. We already dropped Rich Off Pain. I'm working with D Chambers. He's dropping a boom bap to drill rap project that produced almost the whole majority of it. We're working with Prince Julius. These are more like my personal things. I'm working with Conan, Brooklyn. They got a lot of songs on the radio right now. I'm doing a great push. Shout outs to Shampoo and YNVS. They teaming up with me too to do a collaboration of like compilation of all these artists that I mentioned, and they all have songs that I produced, and I'm putting it out called All City, and it's with all those artists that I mentioned. You know what I mean? It's like all of those cats that I have them on my album, and we're about to put those projects out, not including we're dropping the Fat Joe song, the Dice Peso video about to drop right now. Go check Conan's videos out, D Chambers videos out. It's just so many, man. Just stay in tune and check cover out, and you get on my Instagram and y'all see what's going on.
No, dope. You got any last words for the people?
Hey, man, just I appreciate you guys, man, and keeping the culture alive and having this conversation about the culture because it's good like narrative that we control the narratives of what's going on and let them hear our stories from our own mouths. You know what I mean?
No,
And
definitely.
each one teach one. And that's another thing, man. Umbrella Studio got classes that we're doing every Sunday here for the youth that's in school. We're teaching them how to produce. We're teaching them how to DJ. They even rap, we're teaching them how to get in here. If they got good classes, they could come in here and enroll in our classes at Umbrella Studio NYC. So check us out there. And if y'all willing to want to learn, come check us out. We're just trying to make, moves for the next generation and give back to the next generation too, teach one.
No, that's dope. And how can we support you on social media?
Yo,
and the
check me
internet?
out at the real cover on my TikTok too, because I started my TikTok because I'm seeing that the algorithms go crazy in TikTok.
Word?
You put up a thing and them just get 1,000 views quick. I was like, damn, I don't even have that many people. I was like, yeah, but you can check me there. Check out our site, Umbrella Studios NYC, on IG at Umbrella Studios NYC. You can check my man and my manager, Charlie. So dope, CEO dope. My man, Shampoo. What's your YMVS CEO Shampoo. You know what I mean? And check all our pages if you want to get at one of them. They're the guys who work with me direct, and y'all can get the biz through them. And contact us, man, and get some beats from us to get that wave. And shout out to my man Is Hoffa, Prince who's here, Chambers, all my COD crew niggas, you know what I'm saying? Killer, Dollars, Aso Dope, Ahadi Gang. These are all cats from the label coming up. And we just want to show the light on them because everybody else got their wave ready to go. And I want to make sure I always get heard all the time. You know what I mean? So shout out all my people from COD Music and YNVS and Stay Motivated and all my guys, man. BS.